and this is my persuasive speech. When you want to talk to somebody, what do? Do you text them, call them, or physically go up to them and talk to them face to face? In today's age, talking to somebody can mean something much different than it used to. When somebody says that they're going to talk to another, they can mean texting, calling, or actually talking to them. Today, however, texting has become more and more popular. It has replaced the traditional communication methods of talking on the phone and speaking in person. A college student, Lisa Oster-Guzman, sends and receives an average of 6,000 text messages a month. Furthermore, a study in 2010 by a Pew Research Center showed that half of teens who send at least 50 texts a day and a third of teens that text send over 100. This can affect teens in countless different ways, some of them being their sleep, their school, and also their social abilities. Texting, while potentially a harmless and effective way to communicate, has caused problems with teens, such as an inability to communicate in person, dangerous driving habits, problems sleeping, and even problems in school. Throughout the years, the amount of teens who text and the amount of texts these teens send has increased dramatically. Teens are texting increasingly often as the years have passed. In fact, according to 360 Journalism, the amount of texting teens has increased by 40% between 2006 and 2009. Furthermore, according to a study done by the Cellular Telecommunications and Internet Association, the amount of text sent in 1 month has increased by 160% since 2007. This dramatic increase in texting has been caused by a multitude of different factors. According to Amanda Linhart, a senior research specialist and co-author of a study on texting, says that this increase in texting is due in large part to people getting unlimited text plans. Before, the teenagers could text, but this texting was suppressed. Now that teens have no limits on how many texts they can send and receive, they tend to go overboard, texting constantly. For example, a 16-year-old girl from St. Louis Park High School sent 34,000 text messages in 1 month. Furthermore, others say that teenagers love texting due to the lack of mediation by parents. They can say whatever they want through the text, and they do not have to worry about what their parents will think about what they sent. These factors have caused the amount of texting in teens to rise exponentially. This increased amount of texting in teens may seem harmless. It may even seem like a good thing, but it has negatively affected the teens in many varying ways. An increased amount of texting has affected the teen population in multiple different ways. First of all, texting has affected teen sleep. There is a new phenomenon that has begun occurring, known as sleep texting. According to Professor Joe Schroeder, Associate Professor of Neuroscience at Connecticut College, it is not uncommon for someone who uses their phone to text constantly during the day to answer text messages while they're sleeping. This is like sleepwalking. The teens will only be partly awake, but they will answer texts and have no remembrance of it. The negative of this is that they do not fully enter their sleep cycles, so they do not actually get enough sleep. As a result, they wake up feeling exhausted. Furthermore, texting has caused teens to endanger themselves while driving. A recent study conducted by the National Institutes of Health concluded that 43% of high schoolers in the U.S. text and drive. This causes them to be 23 times more at risk of a car accident. Furthermore, 23% of all car accidents every year involve cell phone use. This equals 1.3 million crashes. 1.3 million crashes every year are due in part by using a phone to call, text, email, or something else. When teens use a phone while driving, they are putting themselves at extreme risk, and they are bringing danger to themselves and others. Some experts have even concluded that drunk driving results in less accidents than texting. This is a short video over the dangers of texting.
The windshield glass broke and screeching, and I saw, a body come down from off the top of the van, and I just thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? What have I done? There's never a day that I wake up that I don't think about it.
As you can see, texting and driving is not worth the risk at all. Texting while driving can bring harm to not only you, but others as well. However, texting while driving is not the only risk posed to teenagers by texting. Also, texting teenagers put themselves at risk to become less effective in school. Texting lingo that is used by teens can be carried over into the classroom. This causes teenagers' English grades to have trouble because this texting lingo is not grammatically correct. In fact, a study conducted by the Media Effects Research Laboratory at Pennsylvania State University showed that teens who text more have worse grammar and spelling skills in school. Texting has affected teens' English skills because they are having trouble keeping their texting language separate from their school language. Additionally, teens who are texting in class are not able to pay full attention to their schoolwork. This is much like texting and driving. If the teen is focused on their phone, then all of their focus cannot possibly be on their schoolwork. This can cause teens to learn less well in the classroom, and the teens may replace time that should be spent doing homework texting instead. This can cause an issue, as teens who have been shown to spend most of their time texting are noticing that their grades are dropping exponentially. Finally, texting has severely affected the way that teens communicate with one another. Due to the extreme increases in texting, teens have become more socially incapable, finding that they prefer to talk electronically rather than in person. Bonnie Ellis, Director of Academic Affairs for the University of Phoenix in Detroit, concluded that certain teens will even go as far as to text each other back and forth, even though they're standing right next to each other. This has caused teens to have problems talking with adults and peers via interviews, meetings, and congregations with new people. Teens who text excessively have problems branching out and meeting new people because they stay in their own texting clique. According to Dr. John Rosegrant, a clinical psychologist, when teens rely too much on texting, they lose skills that allow them to judge tone of voice, facial expression, and postures of the population that they associate with. They do not branch out and meet others, or even talk with people that they do know. Therefore, they do not learn about the different silent messages that people give when they're talking. This is causing teens to have troubles at interviews because they do not know how to respond well when talking with other people. Teens and excessive texting has been proven to make a strong concoction towards an ill-fit future, and therefore teens should be very careful with how much they are texting during the day. Even though texting can be a great communication feature, teenagers are using it much too often, causing them to be socially inept, a danger to themselves and others, and less likely to succeed in school. Over the years, due to advances in technology and other things, the amount of texting in teens has increased dramatically. Teens are choosing texting over talking or calling, and the results are mostly negative. Texting has been proven to cause multiple issues with teens. Teens are having trouble sleeping due to excessive texting. Teens are also having trouble in social situations due to their preferences of texting over face-to-face communication. Due to the use of texting lingo, teens are having trouble with grammar in English classes because they are having trouble switching between text talk and school talk. Finally, almost half of texting teens who drive text while driving, which endangers not only themselves, but others as well. All in all, texting can be a good thing, as long as it is not used too often or for the wrong reasons. If texting is used incorrectly, it can be very dangerous to yourself and others. When you want to talk to somebody, your first instinct may be to reach for your phone and shoot them a text. After having listened to this speech, however, I hope you reconsider this and decide to go over across the room and talk to them instead.